Like seriously though, Craig, of all the voices, I'm just going to say it every time. Okay. I guess for the record, we are at a grants call Friday, March 18th, 2022. Talking about what to do, Kernel v. Inside DAOPunks. How do we do this grant process? Myco, take it away.
Oh man, okay, so I'll just, summarize.
I mean, just however you can. I mean, to what you just said. Okay, so I mean, I guess for the record, right? So we're trying to figure out. There he is, CB. We just started recording. Nice timing, pal.
I could feel it. I was ready.
He senses the wave, you know. So we were just going to dive in, and so let's dive in.
Yeah. So first, I guess I wanted to say that, yeah, honestly, I agree with how we kind of ended the conversation yesterday. That like, how do we drive value back to the DAOPunk holders? So that honestly isn't something I thought about directly. So I mean, I guess that's going to really determine how we make this decision. I guess that's at least how I see it. I mean, what do you guys think? Like, if we don't care too much about driving value back to the NFT, then really whatever decision we make doesn't have to be dependent upon that. But if we're pretty firm that like we want to drive value back to the NFT and back to the holders, then that's going to really throw out some options as well.
I think for me, like, you know, it's an ancillary concern, but not a primary concern. I mean, I don't hold the DAOPunk NFT because I expect it to moon at some point, you know. I hold it because I believe in the mission. And, you know, even if we ran out of money in 6 months, I would still hold the NFT proudly and use it as a PFP, right? So I think it's interesting to think about it that way. I've always liked the idea, and I've said this a lot, right? That that people who have chosen to be part of this community, who own a DAOPunk, should get some kind of preference in the grant giving process. That's been pretty resoundingly shot down every time I bring it up. But maybe sentiment's changing a little bit over time. Maybe the bear market kind of does that. Maybe just the sorting process is hard, so it does that sort of as a heuristic. But I like that idea. You know, I'm not saying we don't need to tie it into kernel, but I do like giving DAOPunks preference in the grants. So I'll preface whatever you want to say with that thought. I don't know, we take it away, Garrett or Myco.
Sorry, guys. Having some computer issues here, but you know, I could really see both sides on this one. I'm still having trouble reconciling it. You know, especially the way Myco put it today, and I don't know. I'd like to hear just some more, you know, back and forth about it. I'm still leaning towards personally inviting them, you know, this kernel program, for example, or similar or equivalent, you know, just inviting them in an open application process, just announced on our Discord, or, you know, just having like a small, maybe announcement process versus a small pool. But, you know, I'm open to both, but I'm still leaning towards like, hey, if you're a DAOPunk NFT holder, I feel like you should at least get to apply, but it doesn't have to be cohort 0. Like maybe we use this to, you know, like if we focused on one specific program, we could use it to actually like, you know, better our tooling, look at the results from a small pool and then fine tune it. I mean, that's why I'm so on the fence. I got to be honest. I'm having trouble with this one.
I just had an idea. What if we made it to where, okay, if you're an outside applicant, there's certain prereqs to that. Like for instance, you know, you have to be a part of the kernel program, or you have to be a part of this program. But then we also accept applications from the DAOPunk holders, or even better yet, we accept applications from DAOPunk holders or applicants that were sponsored by a DAOPunk. And if you are neither of those and you're an outside applicant, you have to show that you are in the next kernel round or in the next whatever round. Then now we're limiting it a little bit, but we're also driving value back to the NFT. And we're also driving value back to relationships with DAOPunk holders. while also limiting the pool dramatically and maybe making life a little easier.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I originally purchased the NFT, and many of the people I've spoken to here are just people that really want to make this transition themselves and support it on a mission-based level. It's not about like a quick moonshot type, you know, super hype culture NFT. This is about building real value, and I feel like we have to, not have to. I shouldn't say have to. That's too strong, but it's my feeling that as a holder, I should be able to apply. Does it have to be this round? Maybe not. But in general, I feel like, hey, you're on a mission. That's why you're here. That's why you probably bought the art.
Maybe we could limit it to just DAOPunk holders then, and make a token gated page on our website, which would not be that hard, and it connects to the form that you guys had built.
I mean, honestly, guys, like that's at this point for cohort 0, that's my preference.
Yeah,
There's
man.
a lot of
It's not that expensive right now either. The cheapest DAOPunk is $300.
I know I thought about
It's
swiping
gonna
it the
keep-
other day.
Oh, don't leave it. Like, we want the prices to go down, because if you look at our prices, there's only 40 for sale, by the way, on OpenSea out of 1,111. So that's already a massive ratio. And then also, the cheapest one's 0.11, the next one's 0.12, 0.13, then it jumps to 0.25, and then it jumps up to 0.5 pretty quickly, and then way, way ridiculous, like 2. So I mean, we have a good opportunity here for, if the prices keep going down, it might actually be good if our grant program prioritizes only DAOPunk holders. Then it forces people to go back, buy the DAOPunks. It gives a secondary market. It gives liquidity basically to people that want to get out, which is fine because we're still healthy above mint. Mint was like 0.08, so we're still above that. And then we're making the pool a lot smaller as well.
So I have some thoughts about why we shouldn't keep it in-house for cohort 0, and we should pursue a third-party partnership. And this is basically CB's comments from yesterday that I mulled over after having a couple beers. He brought up the point that the applicants that we could consider from somebody from like a third party such as Kernel are already vetted and have a higher rate of success than if we were trying to do this in-house, and somebody from the outside would have more support structure than we could potentially give them, because we're not really sure how this is going to play out for us as Formula's house. We're trying to build it up, but we're not really sure how much support we could give these people that are like the grantee. And that is that I think is the pushing that is the point where we can't, like, that is the tipping point for me, is that the support level and then the quality that we would get is more significant than if we were to try to do this in-house and then solve all the problems. I think I think that it is better if we go third party partnership, and then we learn ourselves what we want out of a grants program. Much like grant cohort 0 is going to be, like, let's be honest, it's going to be a shit show no matter what happens, because we are going to learn and adapt and figure out like all the problems that come with it, things that we have to solve that we aren't pretty much thinking of, and having somebody else that we know that if we fumble on our end, at least we'll have that data and we can solve it for the next one. And I think that will actually help cater and also help bring kind of like the framework that we need for when we want to bring this in-house, because we want to eventually bring it in-house, because that in and of itself will help drive the value of our NFT. That'll help bring it value. I think that's the better course.
I agree. I think there needs to be some clear structure that if we're not requiring them to be part of some structure that we've already deemed is like legitimate, then we need something to where they prove that they are doing something legitimate. Because yeah, I agree. There's so much of a thing in this space where people get so bright-eyed and like, oh, this is magical, and then the first roadblock they encounter, they're like gone, and it's just like, oh, it's frustrating. I just
share a
want
couple ideas.
Yeah. Yep.
So having kind of reviewed the ratified grants program proposal. I guess first off, I'll say that I'm not prepared to make any decisions that contradict the ratified proposal. Like, I think if we have any amount of respect for like this organization as a DAO, we would, if we were going to have, like, if we were going to propose something that conflicts with that, we would have to hold another DAO vote. And I think that basically what I'm looking at is that there are 3 criteria in here for a grantee. And I think if we were going to add a criteria, that would require a DAO vote to add a criteria to this outline. Because like the community voted on this outline, they said this is the criteria for a grantee. And if we change that, I would feel like that would be, you know, grounds for, you know, holding a DAO vote to change the grants proposal. But I don't think that we need to necessarily do that, because I think that some of what we're talking about is within the bounds of these criteria, which are ready to go full-time DAO, knows what they're getting into, and is ready to share their story and help others. So I think that we're just saying that the fact that somebody is going through the kernel program helps us know that they are ready to go full-time DAO and that they know what they're getting into. Like, I agree with the caution of not giving this grant to people who were setting them up for a situation where they're going to have a hard time finding work, or they don't know what they're getting into. Maybe they don't have enough of an entrepreneurial spirit to like wing it and just make shit happen. Like, you kind of have to have that spirit in this space at this time. Anyway, so I would have more like soft bounds and not say you're required to be accepted to the kernel program, but as the screening committee, that's a big bonus. You know, if you're accepted into some other program as well, if you're going to some school or you have some really strong like independent studies outlined, where we're like, yeah, if you know, you get like you already fluent in C++, you'll spend 4 weeks gaining fluency and solidity, for sure you're going to get a ton of gigs. You know, we know that person is going to do well. Like that kind of thing. Like, I would just have some hard examples of what ready to go full-time DAO and knows what they're getting into means. And I think holding a DAOPunk is one of those signals that says that you know what you're getting into and you're ready to go full-time DAO. I think that's like what this community is made of. And so I think that holding a DAOPunk is just one of those signals, as well as, you know, being accepted into the kernel program. So I would just say that like we should have a solid, you know, list of things that aren't criteria, but that are really strong signals that you do fit the criteria in the grant proposal. And that would really help winnow the application pool, and we can create a new like question that's really explicit about that. That's really easy to sort through, so that's really easy to just kind of discard applications that don't have a really clear signal of that kind. So yeah, that's my piece.
Okay, and so you're saying the signal would basically be proving that you already have the structure outlined on how you're gonna approach your kind of grant period. Is that what you're saying? And then we obviously have like strong indicators of preference that we've outlined.
Yeah, I mean, like if we put this out there to the folks in the kernel program, and we put this out there to the Discord, the DAOPunks Discord server, and those are really the only 2 places where we put it, and we have a strong priority on people in kernel because we know that they're going to qualify for our existing criteria, but we're also considering people who apply through DAOPunks, as long as there's a level of confidence that you know, they have a shot at making it work. So kind of doing a hybrid of the both, I guess, is what I'm proposing. Is like put it out there to the kernel folks, but don't make that a hard criteria. Also put it out there to the DAOPunk folks, and do
Yeah,
it
I get
that
what you're
way.
saying. And then not like go blast it out like to BDAO or other big
Yeah.
DAOs like that. Like just kind of selectively market to niche areas.
Yeah. Like, don't say that it's required to hold a DAOPunk or to be in the kernel program, but just use those as a strong signal to match people with the existing criteria that we've already, voted through. Which there may be other signals that that we'll discover, but yeah. I don't know. Does that make sense, folks?
Yeah, it does make sense. It does.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that I look at that is that, essentially, it doesn't help with the main concern that's being raised by CB and Live Fast, which is that, what's the framework, right, to making sure this thing succeeds? Like, again, I'm down for just having it for DAOPunk holders, period, right? And then, sure, if you have some ancillary kind of, kernel boost or whatever, great. But I'm not sure that advertising it just gets us more entries. And I get the heuristic, right? That like if you also are coming through kernel, like you'll have support from there, right? But if they're not all coming through kernel, we still got to build out the support network here. And if we got to do that anyway, I'd be tempted to keep it to DAOPunks. But I'm also super mindful of the idea that, geez, well, at least the ones who are coming from kernel have some support somewhere, right, outside of DAOPunks. And so I feel the tension. I'm just not sure that solves for the problem that we're trying to solve for, which is that we want people to be supported. And if we just let DAOPunks do it too, we got to build that in-house anyway, right?
Yeah, that's the part that concerns me, is that like I think the overall success of the program is going to be not so much dependent on how many successful funding rounds we've done. I think it'll be measured on the success of the applicants or the grantees once they leave, their period. I think that's where the measure of success comes. And so, on our side of things, we're not really measuring that right away because we haven't even given away one grant. So I think once we give away our first 2 grants or 3 grants, we're probably all going to be super happy. But really, that's like now we've just started. You know what I mean? And like the real work kind of begins at that point of like, okay, how can we help this person? That's the part that I feel like we don't have that down. And that's the part I'm worried about, is that we have people start coming in and like, let's say we have a dedicated Discord channel and they start asking us questions and really we can't help. You know what I mean? Like we try to help, but like everything we do kind of just goes backwards for them. And then they're not successful, and then we're not successful. You know what I mean? So that's why I like the idea of like these kernel programs and stuff, because it almost like, takes the burden of the success off of us, and it more rides on kernel, and it rides on people like Vitalik Buterin and people like that.
I wouldn't say it puts the burden on somebody else. It lessens. If we fuck up, it's not going to be catastrophic. That's what I think is the real takeaway. Because if we do it in house and we don't have all these things that, like, when people ask questions, or if we don't have the support for them, like we like that's a fail. That'll be a failure on us. But if we have somebody from like kernel, like if we don't have the support structure that they need, or when they ask questions and we realize that like we do not have the capacity or the capability of helping them right now, we have to figure that out. And that is something that like I'm starting to, I could see us running into that problem in the long term. I see our success from a metric standpoint isn't necessarily the awarding of the grant and whether or not they are successful at the end of it. I measure our success of how well we assisted and contributed to their success during the middle of the entire program. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, if you think about it too, like, the trade-off for giving a grant, it's really a payment. I mean, they're really an employee at that point because we're asking them to do stuff. We're asking them to do a podcast. We're asking them maybe to do like an interview, AMA, provide us with some like interviews for newsletters and stuff. And if we think, okay, if we have somebody who's completely self-guided versus somebody that's on a guided path, what is going to yield us the best content moving forward also? What I'm worried about is like if we award a grant to somebody that's self-guided and we start like interviewing them about their journey and stuff, like is their journey even going to be newsworthy at all? Like are they going to be saying, "Oh, I was struggling, so I flipped this stupid NFT over here and I made $1,200 and I was able to eat for another week," versus somebody that's like, "Yeah, so I went through this kernel program this week and I learned what a DAO is and I talked with Vitalik Buterin," and you know what I mean? Like I feel like we're going to be yielding much higher quality content from these people that are going through some sort of guided journey as well. And then
Can I
also
push back a little bit? I mean, just because I think that most people who hold DAOPunks who would also apply for the grant, are active in DAOs already. Obviously, no metrics to back that up, right? But I mean, the people who I know want to apply are people who hold DAOPunks and are pretty well entrenched in the ecosystem. I know they're not kind of like fly-by-night outliers who are looking to dip their toes in, using this money. And let's be like frank, right? Like we wouldn't give the grant to that person anyway. I mean, unless for some reason the community voted for them, right? But would they even make it through a vetting process? Like, I don't think so. So I don't know, I mean, I get what you're saying, right? Totally. I'm also like really mindful it's cohort 0 and that there's still 16 ETH left, dedicated to grants, after this round. And so, I mean, this is not like a one shot. I feel like we're sort of treating this like it's one shot in the bucket, when there's like at least 5 or 6 more of these left. And that's with no other revenue coming in, which there will be revenue coming in, period. And so like, I think at this point, actually that treasury is probably higher than 19, even though we haven't maybe cut it over. I haven't looked, but, so I don't know, like I'm still of the mind that you do just use DAOPunk holders for cohort 0. And if it turns out to be a total clusterfuck, well, then you learned, and then you partner for round 2,
what if
like,
we
I sort of want to, during this market, give preference to people who have shown, support for the community for these last 6 months. And maybe that's kind of naive, but it's sort of how I feel in my heart,
I like that. I mean, if we went that route, though, I think it'd be smart to say, okay, you have to be a DAOPunk holder or you have to be nominated by a DAOPunk holder. That way, you're still spreading out. Like if somebody, like for instance, if
sure,
somebody's holding one and they want to get their wife in, like, well,
yep.
They're one and the same, in my opinion. So it's like they're like.
I agree. I would be down for the nomination process for sure. Like there's, like Lion is a great example over in Bankless DAO, who I know really wants to apply for a grant, doesn't have the money to buy a DAOPunk, right? I mean, he's a student in India, who is full-time DAO, but he can't scratch together the floor price to get one, but he would also like, he's deeply entrenched in DAO life, and he would really benefit from that grant, like big time, So like that would be an example of somebody who I would be willing to sponsor for that. So I would be totally okay with that. And I know that Myco, you said that same thing, that you have some people who you would like to sponsor who don't have DAOPunks, right?
Yeah. The grant proposal says the ideal recipient is a subset of the DAOPunk community, but is not required to hold a DAOPunk NFT. I'll just point that out.
I'm glad that you remember that language. I haven't looked at that grant proposal. Oh, that's your proposal, not the snapshot. That's not a snapshot, though, is it?
No, that's the snapshot.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're paying attention.
Yeah, everything I've mentioned is from the ratified like snapshot proposal.
Well, it doesn't.
I'm looking at it right now.
It doesn't say anything about nominations, though.
Well, it says that you're not required to hold a DAOPunk NFT. So if we were going to change that, you have to either be required to hold or be nominated. I mean, I think that would be a change to the proposal that we'd have to put up for vote, which might not be that big of a deal. Like if we want to change this proposal, we just throw up a vote, whatever.
Yeah.
We don't have quorum, so
Well, I think
we can it's like
whatever
just
we do,
whatever we want to do.
yeah, I think whatever we want to do, people are going to back. I mean, especially if it drives value back to the
Yeah.
NFT. It's pretty basic explanation. Like, this will drive value back to it.
Yeah. But I do think that that we don't need to put a requirement on it, because we can just affect like who actually knows about the grant program at all anyway. It can be like it can be like a small window. We can put a cap on the number of applications we receive, and we just make an announcement in the DAOPunks Discord server about it. And call it good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's worth noting. So if we did go with this, it would solve one of the problems that I think is an issue. I think it would solve one of the issues of getting too many applications. I think it would solve that. It would also solve the issue of, we don't have anything right now tied back to the increase in value back to the NFT. And so this would be one of those things, which would really benefit all of us here, which is cool. But it does not solve the issue of, helping people be successful. But I guess, I guess we could always put the benefit or the burden of doubt on the applicant themselves, and in the application somewhere it says, tell us why you're going to be successful, or what are you going to do, and then it's up to them to explain, and it's up to us to decide if that's viable or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of this kind of support for grantees has like grown larger and larger, this idea. But like, I mean, in the grants proposal, there's really not that much content in here about trying to support them in their process that much. I mean, it says that we're going to create a Discord channel for them to reach out to folks if they need, but there isn't really like a lot of emphasis on like us being responsible for their success. I think that we would just need to outline to them, make it really clear that like this is totally up to you, like you really you need to have your own vision and path of like, do you really think you can do this? Like, do you think this is a good idea? This might not be for everybody. Like, are you really prepared to make this transition? Do you have a plan, and are you confident that you're going to be able to bring in an income? Because we're not going to be able to do that for you. We're just here to give you this little nudge to help you on your way. I think just like making that extra clear, and kind of releasing our own conscience from any consequences that people might provoke from quitting their job or whatever, and then being stranded without any money or something. It's like I don't think honestly we're gonna get any situations that are that extreme. Like some of the people I've talked to who I think are ideal candidates are like this dude named Eureka John who's active in like Daoist or DAO Planet and Bankless and whatever. I just heard him talking about how he needed to buy like some recording equipment so that he can help DAO Planet produce content, and he was trying to like sell off some of his important belongings in order to buy the gear. And I was like, hey man, you're the perfect candidate. This is the kind of thing that I would be looking at, is somebody who just like, hey, I need $2,000 to like buy a laptop, and then I can start doing this stuff. Or I need to buy some recording gear so that I can make content for DAO Planet. And like, it doesn't have to be such a hard line, like I'm going to quit my other job right now and do this. It's going to be probably more of just like a blend of like part-time stuff. And as long as it empowers people to be more active in the DAO space, then it's a great success. And I think it's probably wise for anybody working in DAOs to have some contingency and some side hustle, going on like outside the crypto scene, that's like, in their IRL community, like making money somehow. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that people break financial ties with every other opportunity they have to go full DAO. That wouldn't be my metric for success. It would be more like, do we just increase the amount of energy that people are putting into the DAO space? So I'd be like, I wouldn't be that worried about it. generally, I think there's a lot of really creative people out there with a lot of creative ideas that can use a couple $1,000s to like sponsor, a level up in the space for them.
Yeah,
but I don't know, some thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I guess it just has to be clear then when we do give these grants, it just has to be very clear. Like, look, this is not kernel. This is not a guided thing at all. Like you're telling us what's going to happen, and we're deciding to either support that or not. Or not. This is not like a how to quit your job and go full-time DAO program. This is a how to do it, but you need a little kick in the butt to go do that.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, well that makes me feel a little bit better. Well, I know yesterday we didn't really even talk about this at all, of like just restricting it to DAOPunk holders. And and I guess Michael, you're kind of saying we don't even really maybe have to say that specifically, but I mean, what do you guys think? I know we're kind of bouncing between a bunch of stuff here. I would love to leave this call today with like we're all in agreement.
I'm not letting you all leave without a decision. I'm sorry. We're gonna get this solved.
I think this is good we're talking about this stuff, because this is all kind of stuff that I've been secretly worried about. So I'm glad we're talking about it.
Well, so let's like bring it back macro. Like, what is the decision we're trying to make today? Let's articulate that.
Yeah. So the ultimate decision that we need to have before this meeting ends is cohort 0. Is it going to be? Do you want to do it as a DAOPunk only, or do you want to have it as a partnership through Kernel? That is the core question.
Yeah, I think for me, it's not a partnership through Kernel.
All right. So before essentially we got like everybody on this call will to make this easier, I already have like we can take a vote to see who we want, but does anybody have any more comments or thoughts about this in general?
Yeah, Garrett, you've been quiet. What do you think? Because you're key on this.
Well, the way I saw it was the third option was just a general open application. Do we just open the application, say whoever wants to apply? Is it, kernel specific or program specific, or DAOPunk limited? Limited. For me personally, I'm still heavily in favor of just encouraging people to apply. I don't think the filtering process will be as difficult if we don't. I know we've been trying to construct elaborate methods to, make it as equitable and perfect and whatever as possible. But I'm still in favor of give people a chance to fail. Like, this is a grant. It's not like you said. I think we just make it clear that this isn't like, a 10-step program and, we're going to hold your hand through all the steps and good luck. I mean, I think it's just tell us what you're going to do. Tell us what you want to do. We'll see if it looks realistic, and let the community grant people stuff. I mean, I still am really in favor of just let's open it up the first round, see what kind of attention we get. I would still really be shocked if we had more than 50, at most 100 applications. I would be shocked. That's my personal thought. I think there's a lot of talent out there, and especially in our own community, that they've been here, that whether or not they have a punk or not, it's just people that love our mission. They know, we're going to decide through the vetting process, do they actually have a realistic handle on this? Do they actually have any experience? I think that'll be very clear on the application when people list like what their previous experience in the crypto space is. If that's blank, or if that's like, well, I bought ETH on Coinbase once or something, I think it'll be pretty clear who actually has a grip on what the space is, who has a realistic roadmap, and who doesn't. That's my personal thought.
He does have a really great point.
Yeah,
It's we not to like a lot of our previous discussion has been kind of like ignoring or discounting the screening committee and the application itself, and I guess that's not fair. That's not fair of us to do, because the application process is what we want, isn't in itself like the screen that we need. So
my point is, if I had to cast a vote, I'm casting a vote in option C of just open it up
yeah.
and
So
let whoever apply will apply.
yeah, we have three
That's my
options.
vote.
Yeah, DAOPunk only, partnership, or completely open to the public. Either one, all three of these options, just so you all know, like I firmly believe that this is going to be at some level of clusterfuck at some point. But
Yeah,
like,
hold on
Yeah,
real
I mean,
quick.
if you think about,
Like
go
just
ahead.
hold on. So like, I mean, but option one of DAOPunk holder only is DAOPunk holder only plus any kind of nomination by a DAOPunk holder, right?
That's what I would do personally.
Yeah, if it came
And
down
that's
to that.
that's the one I would. I mean, I'm not saying only DAOPunk at this point, because I do think that you can nominate as a DAOPunk holder, but that's the one I would vote for. Option one, DAOPunk holder plus nomination.
Well, plus if we did this, by the way, and I just want those out there, it's just like future high level thinking. If we did a system where we did DAOPunk holders plus DAOPunk nominated, we could build a future system, like a staking mechanism, to where you go and stake your DAOPunk, and that's how the whole application process works. And so your application has to be applied by a person staking a DAOPunk, which then adds like a whole nother tokenomics layer to this whole thing.
That'd be cool.
Which is, that's obviously much further down the line, but that could create an interesting dynamic as well.
That's kind of a cool idea. It reminds me of the graph protocol. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That
so
could get really interesting.
take stuff out of circulation. That would drive value to the DAOPunks. It would be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and like again, too. I mean, your point left asked about clusterfucks. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, what does that really mean, right? I mean, DAOs are clusterfucks by their nature, but they still work because we care. Like, I don't know. Like, if you had three people, who were eventually voted on by Snapshot and approved for grants, like, I mean, why does that presuppose a clusterfuck in the end, I mean, sure, there's going to be some chaos and some hustling and all of that. I feel like clusterfuck might be a little strong. So, like, I'm kind of wondering what's in your mind with that.
all right, I'm like trying to multitask at this point. I'm just concerned of how, I don't know, maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. I'm just concerned for whether or not if we really are capable of or we're really setting up everybody for these as success as possible. That is my concern. That is really that is my big fear for us. But I'm also I'm also being very highly pessimistic, and I think that's unfair.
Well, I think the thing that I struggle with.
Frame that. As far as us setting them up for success, honestly, I think the DAOPunk, what struck me about it is that you're independently driven. You're someone who rejects where you're at now with such a strong passion that you want to get the hell out of it, and you're setting yourself up for success. You just don't have the gasoline to get there, and we're giving you the gas. That's how I viewed it.
I'm kind of similar, like, I mean, like, ultimately in this space right now where we are, like, if you are not entrepreneurial to some extent, if you're not somebody who just goes and gets shit done without having to ask somebody to do it, like, you're going to fail already, right? Whatever failure looks like, especially in a bear market, especially with most remuneration tokens and DAOs like down, 70%, right? And it requires like work, dude. And if, I'm very hopeful, and I know this will be true, that through our screening process, like, we'll identify those people, right? Like, people who are just like floundering already, like, no, but people who are deeply entrenched in DAOs and just need a little bit of support to kind of give them a little bit more runway, or like take a little pressure off so they can like put a lot of work into some passion project that they already have some funding for, So, yeah, I'm totally with you, Garrett. Like in this space right now, with filtered DAOPunk holders, I am at the end of the day, like, we can't be responsible for their success. We can do our best job of picking people who we think have the right sort of background and current mental state to do well. But at the end of the day, like, dude, if you're not motivated to do it, like, you're not going to get anywhere in the space right now. So,
Sometimes the best thing on paper doesn't play out anyway, you know?
well,
I think,
almost, yeah,
yeah.
totally.
But to make
So,
one last quick point, just because I've been in hiring positions at various small businesses, and honestly, for the people that I've met, that I've learned on how to interview people, how to evaluate candidates, through that whole process, at the end of the day, um, we can't be perfect. Maybe an application doesn't get reviewed in the perfect depth, like everything hasn't been reviewed perfectly equally or spent as much time on it. But that's the nature, I think, of applying to anything, is that, oh, did this person take that extra time to write a cover letter? In this case, it would be like, did that person, did they get more active in the Discord or on Twitter or something? Are they asking questions? Are they engaged? Maybe if I'm part of the screening committee, maybe I take a second look at, this person seems engaged. They seem, determined. I think there's a lot of ways to accept that we're never going to be perfect, but still leave it open to people, for people to apply and set themselves apart from the crowd. Is that usually in any crowd, there's only a small percent that really, set themselves apart. We just want to try to find that small, 5%, 10% of applicants, and then just put it up to a vote. And that's where that's been my experience.
I've been listening the whole meeting, and I really love all of your guys' ideas. I agree with Garrett there. I don't think it's gonna end up being perfect, whatever we're doing. In terms of the solution, I'm more inclined towards DAOPunk holders and the people they're proposing. And here are my reasons. I think that the first cohort, or cohort 0, it's gonna be how we're setting the vibe, the attitude. It's not gonna be set in stone because we're gonna have space to grow, develop. But I'm personally thinking long term here, and we've been having issues in the past regarding governance of not being able to engage non-DAOPunk holders in our activities. And I think that if we push such a solution, it's going to encourage people who don't have DAOPunks or for the next grant sessions to engage with our community, to get themselves known, to get to know people with DAOPunks, even though they don't have one, and share their story and maybe be proposed for the next session. I know we're in a bear market, and I know it's very hard to get people to do things during a bear market, but at the same time, we have to, in a way, have a long-term thinking. And I think that creating it as a way of attracting people from the outside inside and engaging with our community would be a good idea for the future in the next sessions, as setting a premise with the first cohort. Of course, I'm speaking a lot from the heart at this point, so please feel free to contradict me with logical arguments.
I like that. I plus one that. I think unfortunately you have to in some way drive value back to the community in order to continue this program forward past the 19 ETH that we have in there. Like, there has to be some mechanism for that. Maybe that's not through the grant program. Maybe that's through like merch, or maybe that's through like limited edition merch that's only available to DAOPunk holders. I don't know what that value proposition is, but there probably has to be something in the future. And this could be that one way to do that.
And it's not only that. If people really don't have time to engage with the community, but they're active in other Web3 spaces, DAOPunks who are not only in the DAOPunks Discord are gonna notice. And if we really know someone who's like Hiro mentioned, Lions, if we really know someone who's struggling and could really use that boost, we can propose them and give someone who know for sure really deserves it a fair chance of getting something that could actually help them get further in their Web3 career.
Yeah, it does make it special too, in a sense as well. Like not just a monetary gain for holders, but for instance, if you're holding a DAOPunk and you don't care about selling it, for instance, maybe you elected somebody and they did really well and they transitioned really well, and you're always going to kind of feel like you did something for that person and you helped them, and that right there is a value add in and of itself, even though it's not monetary.
And I mean, maybe in the better future, because now it's quite difficult, we could try to build towards having mentorship programs for people who are non-DAOPunks holder, but they want to figure things out, and ways to help people guide in the space, and not only help them to apply to the grant, but actually build a community. This is very long-term plans in my mind, so I don't expect to be able to do this during cohort 0, cohort 1, cohort 2. It doesn't matter how long it takes us. But we have to keep that in mind, that we as a DAO are very human focused, and we're really here to help people who really need it. Not just to put grants out there, but also to find a way to select people through our own means and our own imperfect human eye, and help people get up in a way. Yeah, sorry, my heart is leaking. I'm gonna stop now.
I love your heart, Mina. Like, you good, dude.
Yeah, thank you. Well,
We have 4 minutes left of this meeting. I have our options. If you're all okay, I'll list out each of the options, and if you guys don't mind, we'll just tally who wants what, and then that'll be the path forward. Does that sound fair?
I think so. I think we have to make
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay. So for the path forward to going towards for who can be apply for cohort 0, option number 1 is this is also in the community voice, so I'm just rereading off of that. So we have, for option 1, we have DAOPunk only. Do we have any ayes?
So just to clarify though, that'd be DAOPunks only, or
No,
nominated by DAOPunks.
That is just DAOPunk only. You have to be the holder of the DAOPunk only. Option 2 is DAOPunk plus nomination.
Okay.
So, do I have any eyes for just strictly only holders of the NFTs? All right. All right. Option 2, DAOPunk holders plus nominations. Do I have any?
I would say I as well.
I go with that as well.
All right. Option 3, partnership. Any eyes? No. And option 4, complete open to the public. Do I have any eyes?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So I think that was the DAOPunks plus was that what it was? DAOPunks plus invite?
I'm actually not sure.
I'm missing 2 votes. I have. I mean, I didn't.
Let me. Can I throw a monkey wrench into this machine briefly? This well lubricated and ordered process.
Sorry.
I propose. I guess I'll just add another one actually instead. And the other one is, it's completely open in that we're not adding any hard criteria, but we are just promoting it within the DAOPunks Discord server. So it's kind of a hybrid between only DAOPunks and DAOPunk nominated, because if you're in the DAOPunk server, whether you hold a NFT or not, you're part of the community. And the only people who are not a part of the community, they're going to be aware of that, are people who community members like reached out to and were like, hey, yo, like DAOPunks just announced their grants program, go do it. That's basically a nomination. So I would say promoting from only within the DAOPunk server would achieve both of the goals of being completely open while being applied to DAOPunks and DAOPunk nominated.
Is that going to get into the voting issue that we had back before Christmas, where we were wondering about if you had to have a DAOPunk to vote? Does that not confuse the two of them? Here we're going to put a grants program out there. Don't need a DAOPunk, but to vote you need a DAOPunk.
No, we're talking about just to apply. We're talking about to apply.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but it's not going to. It's not the same path. You're going two different routes here. To vote, you need to have a DAOPunk, and now to join this program, you don't need to have a DAOPunk.
Right.
Well, to apply,
That's correct.
I know they're two different issues, but does it not beg the question?
I think it
What's
does.
the question exactly?
He's just basically saying if you want to participate in the community, like on chain, you have to have a DAOPunk. And so, wouldn't it make sense to, if you wanted to benefit from the community, you should also have a DAOPunk? I think that's what he's meaning.
Pretty much. Either we fall in line on the same thesis for both things, or we going to have to go back to the vote thing and say, well, maybe you don't need to have a DAOPunk to vote. To me, you either have to go in the same line with both, or you're just clouding up the picture, and you're just going to have confusion down the road. I believe, and like I said, I know they're two completely separate issues, but I just think they should be along the same lines.
I think Hiro abstained. The typical lawyer abstained. And then live fast.
Yeah.
I'm
not
Sorry,
trying to abstain, DB. I'm just trying to really understand what the concern is, and I don't quite get the confusion, pal.
Yeah, that's why I like to be clear on things too. As I said, I know they're two completely separate issues, and I don't mean to be muddying them that way. But just I know what we went through before Christmas, and the vote, and whether or not you need to have a DAOPunk to vote. And here we're going through the same thing, and we're going with a different route.
No, I think the difference is if you just like compare this, like if we were like the Teal Fellowship program, obviously they have a governance structure inside of their nonprofit, and they make decisions based on probably officers or a board or whatever. And the general public doesn't get to just like vote on what they do, but they benefit the public. They don't just benefit their internal like board. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the same thing here. Like we really are an internal company, and so our internal company can make organizational decisions that doesn't concern the public, but that doesn't mean that our product can't benefit the public.
Yeah, I agree. And like for me in the NDB, only DAOPunk holders can vote on whoever is a potential candidate for the grant, right? So I guess I don't see them as being like paradoxical or contradictory. I mean, I guess I get what you're saying. You're saying from before Christmas when we were trying to figure out whether it's one punk, one vote, or we're doing quadratic weighting or some other kind of voting formula, and that conversation.
Yeah, and well, I guess what Bushi just said there about if we vote on the applicant, I guess that kind of does alleviate that issue. I guess I hadn't thought that process or that part of the process through. So that's a good point, CB. Thank you for bringing that up.
Well, it seems we are still split. So
just to clarify, Hiro, did you vote for DAOPunks plus nomination?
I did.
Oh yeah, you did. So I mean, that's the overwhelming majority. I have Mina, CryptoBushi, DoubleB, Hiro for DAOPunks for option 2, Garrett and Michael for 4, and I've been taking notes. I didn't put my vote in, but that's the majority.
Well, what's your vote?
I haven't decided. I'm so sorry. I've been focused on taking notes.
Abstaining now.
That's awesome. It's like the chef who cooks the meal but doesn't eat because the cooking was the satisfaction.
Well, I want to be frank though. I am a bit concerned because the two people that are working on the program are are on a different path. And so what I don't want to happen
Yep.
is I don't want there to be any animosity or like,
Oh yeah,
oh,
where's Stubbs? I think I know which way Stubbs would vote on this.
Which
I
way
wonder
would he
where
vote
he's
on?
at.
Yeah.
I think he would vote. He would have vote open. I think.
Yeah, because I have this.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Stubbs would vote open.
I'm
But
really
I
sitting over
obviously
here
can't
having.
speak for Stubbs.
I'm having the same thought about CB too. It's like I almost feel like Garrett and Myco should get like a super vote, you know.
I think so.
And so,
Well,
because
okay,
yeah,
wait. Let me just. What do you guys? Do you think that what I described is a pretty healthy blend of both desires, where
I
we
was
just
liking the balance. Yeah.
only promoting the first for cohort 0 inside the DAOPunk server? Do you feel like that satisfies what you want from DAOPunks only plus nominated?
Well,
I think
in that case, if you have a nomination which is not in the Discord, you just tell them to join the Discord, which I think
Yeah,
is
I
fair.
don't. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
if they're just within the Discord, we can't invite friends or whomever. That to me, that's irrelevant if you just inside the Discord, because we can just tell whomever go join the Discord and jump in there.
Right. Which is
That's right.
effectively what you would do to nominate somebody. You would just throw their name in the hat and say, I nominate this person.
Then
Yeah.
let me ask you the difference in your mind, Myco. Or really, I'm also curious, like, to hear Garrett and Myco sort of like debate this for a second, right? Like pure openness and advertise in all possible venues versus just advertise on the DAOPunk server. I really am. Like, I'm really deeply mindful of what CB said. I can't even tell you like how much I had the same thoughts smashing around in my mind, going, well, God, now we're just coming in and going like the, 2 to 3 people who are not, or who are working deeply on this thing are all of a sudden getting, thrown sideways a little bit. And, if you are representing to me, Myco, that Stubbs would vote for open, and I assume you mean open more in line of Garrett. Well, I mean, I think that's important to consider. I realize that Stubbs can't be here because he's working during this time, or at least he was last time I talked to him about his work hours. But yeah. I don't know. I'll be really honest with you. Like, I don't hold like a super deeply strong opinion that I would fight for. Like, I wouldn't go to the mat over any of this stuff, right? What I want to see a grants program that's supported by the community, that's DAOPunks driven, and where DAOPunk holders get a preference. Now, I've always said I think anyway that DAOPunk holders will get a community passive preference regardless of voting, right? Which I think is probably still true. And so part of it is like, how do you screen applicants and how many applicants do you want to screen, right? And so for me, go for
Can
it.
I ask a question? When are they available again? What's the chances of scheduling a call next week that's convenient for them, so we can all do this maybe a little quicker, but not do the whole process again, but get their input?
Let's just throw up a snapshot, y'all. I mean, right? I mean, it doesn't take that much work, right? Just put up a snapshot and be like, "Yo, let's vote." Because I think that if we were to vote here today that we require DAOPunk holders, I would feel like that requires a DAO vote, because I would feel that it contradicts like our ratified grants proposal, which I'm okay with. And I think it's not a big deal to throw up a snapshot vote about it. And I'm okay with honoring that vote that we just took and say, let's require DAOPunk holders as grantees for cohort 0. But I think that, we would just throw up a quick snapshot vote about it and see if the community vibes with that.
Well, I think if anything, the vote has just shown the split that there is, and I kind of agree. Maybe a snapshot vote is in order. Maybe we just do a snapshot vote and just put the options out to the community and let the community decide.
I'm in favor of that.
Just to highlight, I hate to be this asshole because but I gotta say this one last
Go
time.
on.
As CB had mentioned yesterday, the community involvement in this process are the people that are in this meeting. I am 100% for the full snapshot vote, but I just wanted to highlight that one note.
I was thinking the same thing, which is sort of anti in my ethos, but like, here's what I don't want to see. a snapshot goes up, and a bunch of people who haven't been part of the discussions decide that we need to go all in kernel, right? And so,
Yeah.
well, nobody here voted on that one, so we don't have to, we don't have to include that in the snapshot proposal.
Should we?
Maybe we
Though?
just.
yeah, that was what I was going to say too. I mean, do we just need to like put into snapshot the options that are here, which are full open, advertised only on Discord, or DAOPunk plus nomination? Those three only.
I think the only thing that needs to be on snapshot is if somebody wants to change what we've already voted on. If you're not changing what we already voted on, it doesn't need to be on snapshot. So if we just now said we want to require DAOPunks as grantees, then we're requesting a change to the existing grants proposal that requires a DAO vote. But is
totally
so. But nobody here is suggesting that we do the partnership thing. So I don't think we need to put that on there.
By chance, is there a way of issuing a POAP for the people that have been involved with this process through previous calls, and only those people with POAPs can vote on the snapshot?
POAPs aren't really a good option because they were so sparse and in between.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I only got 2 of those anyway.
But that would show who was on these calls or who was at least part of the process. So whoever comes to a snapshot vote won't be able to just vote whatever without having some knowledge, or at least had a chance to have some input into the process.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should. The whole point that I was bringing up yesterday was trying to uncomplicate things. So I don't want to try to overcomplicate things because
I totally agree. I'm surprised we keep dragging this out as far as we are.
I think really yesterday, what I was trying to subconsciously solve in my head was, okay, the obvious problem that I saw was, what are we going to do with these people once we give them money? And so I think we've all kind of agreed here that, well, we're not doing anything particularly. We're just supporting what they're telling us they're going to do. And so that kind of solves that issue in my head. And then the other issue that I also had was that I just foresaw that we were going to get a ton of applications, and it was going to be a ton of manpower that I don't know if any of us would actually be ready for doing. And so I was really trying to propose some solution to reduce the number of applications down. And so really, it kind of sounds like Garrett and Myco, your open option with also giving DAOPunks preference solves kind of both of those issues. So I mean, I'm not like Hiro said, I'm not willing to go to the mat for the DAOPunks only. Also, I mean, if we want to make this as simple as possible, I'm perfectly capable and willing to change my vote to your vote and move on.
Yep.
So I'm changing my vote.
Are Garrett and Myco, you guys on the same page though? Because Garrett, my understanding of your vote was you wanted like full ecosystem advertising, right? Like Twitter, drop it in various places around the world, and go from there.
No, I wasn't necessarily advocating for like a big ad campaign. All I meant was if you hear about it, you can apply. I just thought that was the simplest. If you know about this, you can apply. I thought that was like a separate thing, about where we advertise it. But that's why I think Myco, I agree with Myco on that. Like, I'm fine with just limited promotion or even capping the amount versus deciding who can or can't. I'd rather just say, let's announce it just to our community or something. I thought his was a nice balance.
Okay, so Garrett, you're on board with Myco's idea of just DAOPunk Discord announcements only?
I still think we should talk about it on Twitter, but we won't go out like much further.
I agree. I think advertisements should be limited. Advertisements should be limited, but like not like full ham, like we're taking ads out on like on the various social medias. Like we can make a post, but that's just. I think the advertisement level is a separate issue outside of this one and shouldn't be really.
I think just put in the announcements channel and leave it at that.
Yeah, I think if we can, I'm perfectly happy with Myco and Garrett's openness as long as we're clear that this is not a structured program, that DAOPunks do get preference, DAOPunk holders do get preference, and we do everything we can to keep the application pool down, which could be done through tougher questions on the application itself. It could be done through, limited marketing. I mean, there's a lot of ways we can do that, but any way that we can make this as easy on all of us as possible in this first round, because we all have limited bandwidth here. So, and then, with that, I don't think we should continue going back and forth. We're already over time. So are we all pretty much in agreement? We're going to leave it the way it was, but now I feel a little better because we've defined some of these things a little bit more. And then let's see how
that shouldn't be a problem.
We'll see how cohort 0 goes, and in the future, maybe we could even do it to where every cohort round we have one guaranteed grant that goes to a DAOPunk holder and one guaranteed grant that goes to a public person. I mean, there's lots of ways we can skin this cat. So
Totally.
Yeah,
Well, so
works
what
for
do we
me.
decide at the end of the day? It sounds like we made a decision, right?
Yeah.
And that's,
I mean,
and there's no snapshots. There's no other weird shit. We're just gonna go. All right, it's open to everybody. You're gonna advertise only through DAOPunk channels, which would include Twitter and Discord, and that's it. Is that right?
Yep. And we're going to try the best as we can to have people self-select during the application period. That way we keep applications down, which should hopefully also yield higher quality applications if they follow through with all the questions. And then
I think as part of that screening, like we're just so clear that like you got to have a strong foothold in DAOs, and this isn't like you are going to go find out what DAOs are like. It's like, yeah, man, I know what's up,
Yeah.
dude. And I need a little support to help me bridge like this, 8-week period of a bear market or something, right? Or I want to build this project in this DAO, and this will help me do that.
Yeah. And maybe we also get rid of the language that we would open up like a Discord channel and stuff for them. Because again, that would, maybe we just try as best as possible this is a grant, self-guided grant, and we're going to document it. That's kind of it. We can help you on the sidelines, but there is no guaranteed help. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, and that's pretty much just along the lines, like we can still give them their own channel in the server, but we can't guarantee that anybody's going to be there to help, 100% of the time. And it's up to them and their plan to succeed.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I still think the channel is nice for them to post updates, for them to, I still don't think we should eliminate that completely. As long as the expectations are clear, and I can see that a lot of this is coming from, you guys are definitely, especially Bushi. I can tell it's just a very empathetic point of view. Like you don't want to hurt anybody by this, and I respect that. I love that about you. But I think we got to just let the the birds fly out of the nest a little bit. Like we're here to just push them out of the nest.
I agree. Well, cool. Well,
some will fly, some won't.
I'm sorry for sparking this yesterday. I feel like we've moved forward a little bit, and we've conquered some of the questions that I think were unanswered. So I feel better. So.
I know you
Sometimes think your fun can be fun.
I know this doesn't sound like we kind of took a step backwards, but we actually made a significant leap forward.
Agreed.
Just like I don't know if you feel that same way, like Garrett or Michael, but like from my notes and from hearing all of your discussions, we did make a good step forward, even if we had to take 2 steps back.
Yeah,
I don't know if you felt that way.
I don't think we're taking any steps back. I think we're just clarifying the process. And we also eliminated a bunch of future work that we can't really control much of anyway, right? And so I think we actually whittled a bunch of crap down and did take a big step forward.
Yeah, we're setting
Yeah.
expectation too, which is really strong, you know.
It's the whole deal.
Uh,
Yeah, man.
I think we succeeded in like cleaning house a little bit as far as our intention with the grant program, and just clarifying that like our goal is to give people free money and not to create some sort of mentorship program. And that is to be like totally clear. As soon as that's clear, we can have a lot of fun with that, right? We can do it. It's like we're giving people free money. Like, what, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, just give people money and have fun, right? Like, I mean, that's gonna be fun. Like, do whatever you like. Just do whatever you want, man. Just like, okay, publish the application and then just pick some random people and be like, here's some money, and then watch them be happy and then be stoked about the fact that they just like were happy that you gave them money. Like, cool.
Or
You know, at the very least, like, it should be kind of fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great success if one day we have somebody come back that's really prominent in the community, and they, you know, I don't think they're ever going to say, "Oh, my success was vital because of DAOPunks." I just want us to be included in that conversation of like, "Oh, you know, through my Web3 journey, these were all of the people that helped me, and DAOPunks is one of them."
Totally.
Kind of like Vitalik Peter,
Yeah.
you know, something like that, like a success like that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh,
Well,
just like a minor success of revolutionizing the whole world.
Yeah, you're set the bar
Yeah,
kind of low, though, aren't you?
guys, it
Yeah.
wasn't Vitalik. It was actually Charles Hodgkins. Like, guys, he's the true co-founder of Ethereum.
Oh yeah.
Come on, guys.
Cool.
Or,
Okay, well,
what's the other guy's name? Who actually did more? I can't remember it offhand. Oh, Gavin something. Gavin Wood.
Gavin Wood. Gavin
Anyway.
Wood.
Gavin Belson.
I'm just joking around. So, guys, I really do think this was like a super productive meeting. And I mean, I don't know that we need to like. I think that these grantees can still come in and like poke around and ask some questions. And I still think we should do AMAs with them, and you know, get them into newsletters and podcasts. I think, you know, but we don't need to figure that out right now. But I still think we should promote the efforts that we're doing across our channels, right? I just don't think we need to say to them, "We will be your mentor." Like, we won't say that. Right.
Yeah, the way I look at it is I think we're going to be like the documenters. Kind of like when you hire somebody with a camera to come follow you around, you don't interact with that person. They just follow you around. I think we can still follow people around. I just don't want them to always turn to us and say, "What should I do?" It's like, no, I'm here to watch you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I mean, it seems like
honestly.
any of the effort that we put into those avenues is ultimately to benefit the DAOPunk community, because we could give them the money and just let them run and whatever, but then we would realize like, oh, like there's some social value to gain from this situation. Let's at least like document it and publish the results so that we can get some exposure about how cool this is. We could do that or not, but we might just want to do that just because it benefits us.
Yeah, I think we should.
Can I, since I have all of you guys here, and this is going to be, and I already foresee this as being the next problem that we face forward. I want, like, I just want to see if I want to get in, at least put this up for you guys right now, just as a group decision. We are committed to the application process. Is going to be open with the promotion in Discord, with promotion in Discord and limited advertisements with respect to the community. Now, and this is a big thing that me, Garrett, and Michael had discussed 2 weeks ago. This is the whittling. That is the whittling process. After that, everybody reviews everything. Is that?
Well, I'd say let's table that because that's a whole discussion. But
agreed. Table that.
We're just gonna have to talk about some numbers and make it work.
If the anime sigh emotion come out of my thing.
Let's talk about it in the grants channel, though. You know, async. Like, because sometimes it's easier to just write your thoughts offline than to wait until next week when we're all in a meeting.
All right,
but
I'll pose it up. I'll start the discussion there because that's the next question I have. Or that
all
right,
sounds good.
All right, guys. Thank you. I'm happy we got the vote. We got this decision done. It was actually it's not. I didn't even know what to expect.
I'm
honestly
excited, you
did.
guys. I think this is gonna be so much fun. Like,
Me too.
and honestly, like, I'm like getting involved in a lot of other DAOs since ETH Denver, and somebody mentioned like DAOPunks are all over the place, and it's true. Like, I think I see DAOPunk PFPs represented in other servers more than like any other PFPs that I see.
Well, that's the thing, guys.
Like,
We have a very
and
strong holder base here. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
our ratio
it's a
for
very
amount listed is very strong. I mean, I have a friend who just launched a project like a week ago, and his project sold out in like 2 minutes, but it's already dropped below mint price now. I mean, we still haven't dropped below mint price, and we are 6 months out now. I mean, we're getting close to 6 months, but that's crazy.
Nah, dude. DAOPunks lead the way.
Cool. Well,
DAOPunks lead the way.
I'm excited,
Love it.
guys. Either way, we're gonna see this thing through. So we got 19 ETH to give away, and we're gonna give it away. Damn it! So
You're gonna take my money. Take my money.
Nobody's gonna be able to keep us from giving that money away.
all right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time, and let's. I feel like everyone's pretty excited here, so that's cool. So let's just keep it going, and we're building something cool. And what's cool is, regardless of how many people show up for these calls, regardless, like, we're gonna give away that money, and our names are always gonna be tied to it. So that's pretty dope.
Amen.
Thanks, everybody.
Total.
Much
You're
love,
doing good
y'all.
work, guys.
Happy full moon.
Have a good
Happy full
weekend.
moon.
All right, guys. See ya.
Cheers, friends.
Happy equinox.
How do you stop
How do
Craig?
you- I was gonna ask you that.
I don't know. Shit.
Oh God, where's Hero? Let me see if I could stop him. No, I don't have control. What if we just both leave? I'll just try that. I guess not.
Yep. So for those of you who are still listening in on this is awkward. How do I? I should learn this. I feel like.
No, I think it's just a privilege thing. Like he has like an admin privilege for it. I don't see any options on my end. All right, well, we'll just clip it whenever he does stop it.
36 hours later of audio.
Yeah. All right, I gotta run.
All
That was
right.
fun.
No problem. Catch you later.